It is lights out and away we go once again because it is Wednesday. We like to do this on different days of the week nowadays, but it's still front stretch. Alex Gintz, IndyCar content director, Formula One part timer, some timer, I guess. Wyatt Watson brought you the recap for this week at Mexico City, and it was a doozy. That was an incredible start of the race. It was thoroughly dominated all week, though, by one McLaren of Lando Norris. Not so dominated. In fact, struggling was the other one of Oscar Piastri. And Alex, my oh my, we have a points battle with 4 races and like a handful of sprints to go for the season as we go down. Lando Norris has taken the points lead by 1 point over his teammate. Max Verstappen still got a podium out of this weekend, and closes a little bit of that gap to 36 points to Lando Norris, 35 to Oscar Piastri. First of all, was Mexico City all that you wanted to be compared to last season? And then two, where do we stand now for the points battle in the next 4 races from your perspective?
I feel like Mexico City is always what I want it to be. I said last week that I really hate COTA, but one of the things I like about COTA is that it means that Mexico's near. The run down to turn 1 is legendary, and all the antics that have happened there in recent years are equally legendary, I would say. And the atmosphere, especially through that stadium section, is unmatched, and it's going to be even better next year with Sergio Perez back on the grid and maybe Pato O'Ward back testing in a bit better health. So Mexico is never a race that I have many complaints about. The points battle is kind of concerning, right? Because this is 2 weeks in a row, if I'm not mistaken, that Piastri has just not looked. He hasn't necessarily looked slow, but he's looked uncomfortable. And there's a difference between being uncomfortable and being stressed or being pressured, right? And if Oscar Piastri is not comfortable under pressure. Now, for a long time, we said Lando Norris wasn't either in the earlier years of his career. I mean, this isn't to say that Lando Norris just like stonewalls his way through the struggle or whatever. but man, I just feel bad for myself because I said at the beginning of this year that Piastri was going to hold it together, keep his composure, win the championship. And now I'm becoming increasingly less confident in that. And now after this weekend with the damn points, the numbers aren't agreeing. The numbers don't agree with me either, and they don't lie. So, oh man, it's just, who knows at this point? And Verstappen is, again, with however many races to go, we can count them on one hand. He's coming closer. He probably would have come closer even if he hadn't been neutralized behind Leclerc with that safety car toward the end. I mean, I don't know why. I'm probably going to start smoking again.
You're gonna start vaping again. but no, oh goodness. No, that safety car was definitely, you could hear from the broadcast, dude. That was definitely like in that section where it was, it's very low speed. Nothing is really gonna go wrong. If this was at the end of turn 1, this was going down, I get the virtual safety car. Yes. The fact that they did this with 2 to go and neutralized the race until like halfway through the final lap for Verstappen and Leclerc, that it ruined what would have been a what do they call it across the sea, not a podium finish, a grandstand finish, which, and of all the grandstands in the stadium section would have been cinema for sure. But at the end of the day, like, that's a small wrinkle compared to what was the start of the race, which was you have your championship you have 2 of your championship contenders, one on the bottom and one on the top 4 wide into turn 1, going through the grass. I don't know how in the hell Verstappen avoided a penalty from FIA in this race. Lewis Hamilton was not as lucky in that sense, but he has not as much to race for as the top 3. But Verstappen like dodged bullets compared to how it was last year in terms of finding penalties and coming off track. It was very hot conditions out there too, which made it, again, another wrinkle in that race was just the temperature and how soft tires mattered more than the mediums at the end of the day. Verstappen going against strategy and taking the mediums first and then putting on the softs. But it opened up to the man that you see behind us in the background, Ollie Bearman, this is a career race for this kid. He wouldn't have gotten the podium if he one or the other. He was in a podium place in third for much of the race before taking tires and falling into the strategy of staying ahead of the Mercedes behind him and Oscar Piastri, who did charge to the back of him by the end of this race. But what a race. This is a career race for Ollie Bearman, and Haas F1 team was looking for their first podium in their 210th start as a team. Alex, how big of a race is this for both Ollie Bearman and Haas F1 to have a result in a complete race like this?
So, I mean, it's fantastic for Ollie because everybody has known that he was a talent to pay attention to since he subbed in Saudi Arabia last year. But, you know, if you're going to make headlines, the Haas is not the car or the team to be driving for that, right? And this is great for him because by being a Haas driver with his previous linkage from last year, from his time in the feeder series, he's a driver that is, until we're told otherwise, assumed to be in the Ferrari pipeline. For Haas, this is fantastic because every position they gain is, you know, significant money, let's say significant reward for their investment in themselves and in their team, et cetera, et cetera. It's probably been more than 2 seasons since they had their last 4th place finish. I know Ocon finished 5th in China, I believe, but it's been a long time. Matches their career best. Fantastic. All around a great result, but the people I think that are really going to feel good about this result are Ferrari themselves, because now they understand, or I should say have been vindicated in their belief that this is a talent that they should be paying attention to long term. I think. I mean, starting on 9th on the grid and making your way to 4th at a track like Mexico City, where we have to talk about the thickness of the air and all of the slipstreaming that goes on the straight and the technicality of the S's in the stadium section, all of that. This is a great track to get a career best finish at. And if I'm Ferrari, I'm no longer digging my heels in on paying attention to what we're doing with Lewis Hamilton, which is important. Absolutely. You've got Lewis Hamilton. You don't let him go. I don't care if he's running 18th, but Ferrari has,
maybe do you though at 18th?
Well, maybe if I'm Gunther Steiner, but he's obviously not in the equation at Haas anymore.
Never more. Yeah.
but Ferrari has now been justified in their investment in this kid, as far as I can tell. And who knows what this finish will do to the complexion of the next few years of his F1 career.
Yeah, if I'm Ferrari right here, when Lewis Hamilton decides to either A, call it quits entirely from F1, or B, gets tired of the Ferrari strategy, you have a kid. Yeah, whenever that is. I mean, it seems like every week it's getting closer and closer to that fuse blowing, but he misses Bono way too much on the radio. Anyway, I mean, this is the same Ferrari team, like, despite the struggles they've had, despite having no actual Grand Prix wins on the season, they're still somehow clawing a second in the constructors standings as well. And when you have a guy perform like Ollie Bearman performing in the Haas and beating one of those two, now granted, again, penalty kind of played itself into that equation there. When you have Bearman beating one of your drivers at Ferrari, every now and then. He's done this a couple times with a solid 6th, 7th place finish. He ends up getting ahead of Lewis Hamilton every now and then on a struggling weekend for him. Leclerc is obviously still the banner carrier for Scuderia, but for the time being, your future is bright if you're Ferrari. If you can find the way to make the next regulation car to go fast, you have a guy that can equal that pace, I believe, with Bearman. And what a way to show it here in Mexico City. It was an incredible drive. He just emerged from the smoke. Like all the chaos, like Liam Lawson's wrecking for, like, I don't know if Lance Stroll was involved in any of that. It was just chaos in those corners, and we end up seeing as Verstappen comes back onto the grass, he's side by side with Bearman. I'm like, where did he come from? And it's like, this is now going to be an incredible race to watch. in terms of both I think the strategy played was incredible from every angle, and Bearman held pace. In fact, was gaining at times on his competition ahead of. I think even Leclerc he was gaining on in certain moments, at least during the middle of the strategy. That was a phenomenal drive for those guys, and I'm intrigued to see if they can keep it up when we go to Brazil next week, which that's going to be interesting to watch. We're kind of flying through this episode a little bit quick today, but
well, wait, there's more.
Oh, there's more.
There, this is a direct product of this result. If I'm looking at the math correctly, which I might not be because I got D's in math all throughout grade school. It was great, but Bearman is ahead of Ocon on the season as a whole in the points, now only by 2 points. So, 32 to 30, that's nothing. But within 10 points of Oliver Bearman are also Nico Hülkenberg, Isaac Hadjar, Carlos Sainz, and Fernando Alonso. I mean, clearly the gap between the top teams and what used to be the midfield is a bit more pronounced this year than we might be used to. But 2 or 3 more finishes like this, and he's in great company. And to drive the Haas and come home, like in the top 10 in points in your rookie year, for example, is a championship level achievement, given the performance of that car over the past few years, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I think he's matched, I know it wasn't a podium, but he's matched what Hadjar did at the Netherlands. Now, actually, yeah, he does, because Hadjar benefited from the retirement of Lando Norris very late in that race to get his podium. So
there you go.
That's a net 4th place run that Hadjar did at the Netherlands in my eyes. He's matched that officially and naturally rather. Another thing from the team's perspective, and I glossed over that looking at Ferrari and having a 10-point battle between Mercedes and Red Bull. Speaking of 10 points, Haas F1 team is 10 points away from 6th place, and Red Bull and the Racing Bulls. And that's very achievable if they end up finding the pace or matching the pace at Sao Paulo, which I know was kind of in weird situations, but this is funny that they're making history going into a track that they've made history in the past with their pole with Kevin Magnussen in extraordinary conditions, of course. But Brazil always likes to throw the curveball in there as well as being a race that, we had a double Alpine podium because of the rain. We had last year, again, Magnussen taking pole. And if things worked out well, he was on for a points place finish in that one. If Bearman with Bearman's pace and just racing IQ he showed in that race, along with the pit crew have to be given their flowers too. They had tremendous, probably stops of the year worthy stops for Haas in this race. If they can show that A game again, back-to-back races, I think Bearman could be on to maybe himself take over 6th place, at least in the constructors. And like you said, climb his way into relevance in the driver's standings in his first year. A top 10 finish in there will definitely be a good omen for his career going into 2026 and beyond. So solid drive from the Brit, solid drive for Haas F1 team. I almost call him Haas factory team all the time.
Oh God, no, absolutely not.
Hey, he's doing better than Sam Mayer. That's all I'll say.
Who isn't?
Right. That's all I'll say on that front. One more thing we'll kind of talk over and talk about. Breaking from this morning, Marco Andretti has retired from full-time motorsports racing. Obviously, took into the stock car part of his career a little bit in his end in the last couple of years, but he's obviously well known for 20 IndyCar, Indy 500 starts, 2 victories in the NTT IndyCar series over his hundreds of starts in the series. Obviously, the Andretti name loses another one of the ranks that has driven for such a long time, almost an Indy 500 winner. If it weren't for that man, Sam Hornish Jr. But Alex, to you've watched his career a lot and watched him grow and make his impact in open wheel racing. What is the legacy of Marco Andretti going to be like moving forward after his long career?
Stock car driver trapped in an IndyCar driver's body. That's actually my answer, because I was at Sharon Speedway for the 2022 SRX finale when Marco broke his thumb, I believe, mid-race and drove to finish the race to take the championship. And we're gonna say whatever we have to say 10 years from now about the SRX experiment, and God knows if it'll get revived in some meaningful way or not. But there was something different about Marco Andretti, I thought, once he got out of full-time IndyCar competition, which I believe 2020 was his last full-time season. Indy 500 pole winner in 2020.
That same year, yeah.
I mean, that's not nothing at all. And it was a bit different that year because there were no fans present. We were all caught up in the winds of the pandemic or whatever. But I don't know about you, but when I value Indy 500 qualifying just as much as I value the race. And especially in the last 2 or 3 years, we've really been given that gift by the commentary team. I've got to sprinkle that little compliment in there. Like, these are some of the most difficult and meaningful, and for want of a better word, I would call them like a spiritual experience of 4 laps that a lot of these drivers are ever going to run. So now, Marco Andretti, we're going to speak of in the same regard as, for better or for worse, Robert Schwartzman.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
James Hinchcliffe. The other driver.
Takuma got a pole.
He did?
Did he? I'm pretty sure. If not, I could be wrong.
Hang on. I got to find out now. I question that. Oh, and this is happening on live. This could be great. No, he started second this year, and then third in 2020.
Man, you'd think he'd get one after one of these years. Scott Dixon,
yeah, you would think so.
Scott Dixon for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, or even Jack Harvey. Everybody remembers what Jack Harvey did to make the race in 2023. That's not nothing, is my point. And he was a fantastic driver at the 500 in his own right. 2006. Even though he binned the race, and binned was the verb because his telemetry over that last lap was inexcusably, I don't know if there was something wrong with the car. It looks like he just backed off. He ran higher lines. He ran lower entries. He did not give his best effort that last lap in 2006, but he had the race in hand until that point. He finished third in 2013. He finished fourth in 2012. He finished ninth in 06, 07, seventh in 08, eighth in 09, 8th again in 15, 8th in 17, 10th in 2019. I mean, he was not nothing around the 500.
Yeah.
His 2 wins, compared to what he did at the 500, I don't think those 2 wins are going to be part of his legacy, really. For me, it's primarily 2022 SRX champion, 2020 Indy 500 pole sitter, what could have been had he gone down the NASCAR pipeline.
At least he can call himself an IndyCar Oval winner at Iowa.
Yeah, 2011.
He is indeed a real IndyCar driver, but
yes.
But at the end of it, I mean, again, he's made his appearances. I've gotten to interview him too on the stock car side when he lost his rear end housing as well, which was
Coda.
Yeah, Coda, which was bizarre to say the least. But in all, he always had a chill like feel to him anytime he was at the garage, and I hate the fact that he never got to turn one lap this year to send it off. But I get that making that 20, bumping his way into his 20th Indy 500 was big for him, big for the Andretti family. and the legacy of his career and that family's name as well.
Yeah.
So the fact that now we're going to be, like, at least for the time being, obviously we're going to be absent of the Andretti family, at least in a race car, will definitely be a change that we'll all have to get used to.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I think the wins definitely aren't going to be highlights. I think it's just, again, the longevity of Marco Andretti in the sport and his commitment to making moments in the sport, and other sport and other motorsports like SRX champion,
Yes.
like his foray into NASCAR and ARCA. It showed the Swiss Army knife that really is Marco Andretti. I would have loved to see if he could have done this earlier in his career. Like, I know it's tough to do full time IndyCar, but if he started that earlier, that's always going to be a what if in hindsight. It's 2020, but he definitely he made the attempt at it, and it was fun to watch while I was around. Enjoy selling houses, I guess. You can make him your realtor, I guess.
Marco is one of those guys that is just, regardless of what he's doing, is likable. And it's not controversial to say that he was never the story that his father was, and certainly not his grandfather. Their careers just played out so differently. But if there was one person in the IndyCar field, part-time or full-time, that could retire, and I would think, man, I hope that this turns into a Mark Martin scenario where you retire and unretire like at least 3 times. Marco is high on that list.
Yeah, and whatever. Again, yeah. Go ahead.
In part because I think we got some lag going on here. I'm sorry, it's my stupid Virginia internet. It's in part because I remember the hype around the 2020 Indy 500, and that was the last Indy 500 that I watched purely without having anything to do with what I do at Front Stretch or anything like that. There was so much hype around, and Andretti sitting on the pole at Indianapolis after how that track has treated that family, and then the 98 car didn't lead out of turn 2. It might not have led into turn 1, So I want him to keep coming back, and I want that team, and I know that Michael's involvement is like now, but I want that team to keep entering that car until he gets another top 3 finish.
I'll say they might still enter that car under the name of Colton Herta, which is other news we can tackle at another time. Yeah.
Well, we can tackle it right now. We've got a few minutes.
We got a few. I mean, one thing,
I don't know how I feel about it.
The most obvious, Colton Herta being an F2, we kind of knew that since Nashville. But what's interesting is that he's going to be running, I guess, part-time or whenever he can in the in IMSA competition and sports car competition with Cadillac, and then I think he will be able to race an entry in the Indy 500 if he chooses, since F2 does not have a companion event up in Montreal that same weekend. First of all, I mean, that 98 car, that's one thing that was a question until this morning was who's going to take the extra car at Andretti. Now, does it seem more likely that we'll end up still seeing Colton Herta gear up into an IndyCar next year in the Indianapolis 500?
Man, I don't have the 2026 Formula 2 schedule in front of me, but is there anything going on that weekend? I don't think so. No,
not in Canada. I know that much.
No, there's not anything going on in F2. There's not the whole month.
Not the whole month? Yeah.
There's like a 7-week break between Jeddah and Monaco.
Oh, then they're wide open. They changed Monaco for this reason.
Could go.
It makes sense now, Alex. They were making room for Colton Herta in F2. That's
the most Tom Blackburn thing I've ever heard you say.
That's what I'm going for. Shout out Tom Blackburn. We miss you.
Oh God. So in this scenario, he can do a Juan Pablo Montoya or an Elio Castroneves and come back for the whole month of May. I mean, he's won on the road course before. He's been a factor in the 500 before. He's deadly in 500 qualifying and has been since his rookie year.
I don't know if you want to say deadly in Indy 500 qualifying.
He has had the capability to be deadly in Indy 500 to be a factor.
Well, he can certainly flip it and still make the show in the same session. that too.
Yeah. So look, he's got a difficult relationship with the speedway, but it's not for a lack of ability. Let's put it that way.
No,
so sure. I actually hadn't considered that in the chaos of my daily life, what the 98 car does look like. I don't see who else they put in it.
Yeah, I think that's the most obvious, unless they want to dip in the F2, which, I mean, just ask Dale Coyne how that went with Nolan Siegel at the time in that circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the obvious fit. You have a guy who's already bred to go into the Indy 500 and has the availability all month with F2 taking that long hiatus and still being involved with sports car racing back at home as well. It's the most obvious fit it's not a matter of if, but when we hear the announcement that Herta will be driving an extra, whatever the number is, the extra seat.
Wait a minute though. Wait a minute, because Herta is also the test driver for Cadillac. And do they need him? Does their schedule work out in a way where he needs to run one of his free practices in Canada, and something involving that responsibility spills over to the rest of the weekend?
To be fair,
kind of hard to imagine.
To be fair, though, the free practice would be either Friday or Saturday, and the week of the Indy 500, Friday, Saturday, typically doesn't have any involvement going on. Hence why Larson's been able to qualify for the Coke 600, or any NASCAR driver in the future that wants to try the Indy double. They can qualify and do other NASCAR business Friday, Saturday, and then come and race the greatest spectacle of racing Sunday afternoon. And hope Mother Nature doesn't slap them in the face again. But
that's
Herta just has to do a practice, and that's it. That's not even a question.
That's why I said, unless something happens and spills over. God forbid Sergio Perez gets food poisoning.
Or God forbid Valtteri Bottas has something happen to him too, for sure.
Just something in general.
Just something in general. I don't know.
Just some miscellaneous tragedy befalls Valtteri Bottas.
I'm about to say that's the reason we haven't seen him in a car forever, because the penalty that's looming, right? With him. He'll have to finally serve it in 2026. So who knows?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
but yes, to your point, I mean, it's certainly feasible, and it would make more than enough sense. There's one other thing though. What about qualifying the car for the 500 if he wanted to? We have nothing that weekend.
No, nothing. Yeah.
That'll
be open for him to do that as well. So, and practices.
Crikey.
Yeah, crikey, right? there'll be a bunch of practices going on throughout the month of May for sure that he'll either be at. He'll maybe have something with Cadillac, maybe something with Enza, who knows? But I think there's a real chance we see Colton Herta still racing the Indy 500, because I don't see him not being like, oh, I'm just not going to race the Indy 500. He wants to race it. I feel that as a competitor, he wants to get that done, and hopefully we see that. Again, not a matter of if, but when is what I'm thinking for that as well. We will cut it there. That'll do it for the Pit Straight. Thanks again, Alex, for coming on in the busy schedule. And again, be sure to check out all the stuff for that Front Stretch has to offer, including happy hour with Michael Massey, Dalton Hopkins, and Brian Nolan. They had Dustin Long from NBC Sports talking about the Championship 4 coming up for Phoenix and the NASCAR Cup Series. I don't know if they talk trucks during Xfinity. I mean, that should be Zilich and Heim, but that's another podcast.
Yeah, hopefully the last Championship 4. No,
hopefully
I can say that I don't do NASCAR.
I hope that too. That's I don't want to. I can go down that rabbit hole on another podcast. That's for damn sure. Speaking of other NASCAR podcasts, you can check out me. Tino Patino will join me on Through the Gears. I'm knocking on wood there with that, but he will join me in a little bit to record that, and we'll be out on Friday. And then check out or bringing the heat with Trey Lau as he had Caleb Barnes on for that show as well. And they talked all the lawsuit stuff too, which they digested all that information that came out and whatnot there. From Alex Gintz, I'm Wyatt Watson. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple weeks after the Sao Paulo Grand Prix in Brazil.